Okay, let's jump right in. Imagine the world around us, right? Buildings, art, businesses. Now picture all of that becoming, well, liquid, tradable, right on a blockchain. It feels like it's coming, and fast. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something presented as absolutely key to this, the SQRS coin. Our goal: cut through the noise, understand SQRS, why it's supposedly so essential, and importantly, the potential advantages for getting in early. Let's explore the engine behind this whole new world of tokenizing real assets.
And the potential scale here is just massive. We're
Yes.
talking trillions. Seriously, the sources we looked at, they're pointing to maybe $16 trillion in tokenized real-world assets by 2030, maybe way, way more down the line. You need a special kind of system for that, something built just for these complex assets.
Exactly, which brings us straight to it. What is SQRS coin? Why should you even, pay attention? So, based on the material, SQRS is the native utility token for the RWX blockchain. And RWX isn't just another chain, it's designed specifically, purpose-built for bringing real-world stuff onto the blockchain. And SQRS, they call it the operational backbone, the fuel, essentially, for everything on RWX.
That's the absolute core of it, yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to tokenize, say, a building or art via squares and have it interact on this network, you need SQRS. It's not optional. Think about it like this. Every transaction, every compliance check, every single asset movement, none of that happens on RWX without SQRS. It's baked right into the protocol.
Okay, so it's not just related to the chain, it's fundamental, necessary for it to even work. Which, naturally, leads us to the next big question. Why do you, the listener, actually need this coin? What does it do on RWX?
Right, this is about that protocol level utility. It's essential. Think of gas fees on Ethereum, right? You need ETH for anything. Well, the sources make it clear. SQRS is the gas for RWX.
Well,
Every single interaction, moving tokens, running smart contracts, you pay with SQRS.
So users need it. What about the projects, the ones creating these tokenized assets?
Yep, them too. Absolutely. If a project wants to tokenize their real estate, their art, whatever, they have to use SQRS for that deployment process. And then there are the smart contracts doing all the cool stuff, automatic compliance, paying out royalties, distributing income from assets, all those automated functions. They run on SQRS. They consume SQRS. So this built-in need, deployment, transactions, smart contracts, that's what's meant to drive demand as the whole thing grows.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for potential early involvement, according to the sources. What are the advantages highlighted for buyers getting in now?
Well, the prices mentioned for early rounds are definitely attention-grabbing. The material notes a seed sale around, 1.8 cents, and a private sale at 4.5 cents. Now, the listing price isn't fixed, TBD, but the expectation described is a, quote, significant uplift, driven by that fundamental demand we talked about.
Right, but it's not just the entry price. The token supply, they use a very strong term, hyper-deflationary. What does that actually mean for the supply of SQARES?
It's directly linked to its use. When SQARES gets used for gas, for deployment, for those contracts, a big chunk of it is permanently removed, burned, gone forever. And the key number here is pretty staggering. The source says over 95% of the total supply will be burned over the next 10 years.
Wow, over 95% burned. Okay, and you combine that with the idea that adoption is growing as potentially trillions in assets are tokenized.
Exactly. Network usage goes up, so demand for SQARES goes up because you need it. But at the same time, the supply is aggressively shrinking year after year because of that burn. So the argument is this creates massive long-term price pressure. Rising demand, falling supply, it's powerful economics.
Yeah, and the analogy they used in the material really paints a picture. They said something like, buying SQARES now is like getting ETH under $1, but with a far more targeted use case and institutional relevance. It frames it as getting in on the ground floor of the infrastructure before everyone else piles in before listing, like buying the picks and shovels before a gold rush, but for this huge RWA tokenization wave.
Right, it shifts the focus. Instead of betting on one tokenized asset, you're looking at the network that makes all of them possible.
So here's something to think about, a little takeaway from our dive today. This wave of tokenizing real-world assets is coming. It could be tens, maybe hundreds of trillions of dollars. The question is, do you want to be part of the essential plumbing, the infrastructure making it happen, or just watch it unfold? The potential they lay out is certainly huge. Now, if this sparked more questions, if you want to dig even deeper into this, the sources do mention that further questions can be answered by expert David Wegner. He's got a solid background in financial markets since 2001 and deep in the blockchain space since 2015. Definitely worth checking out if you're keen to learn more.